Hi, I'm going to read A House for Hermit Crab today. Do you remember the hermit crabs that we have at preschool? Last time we were at school, they were just starting to come out of hibernation, and one of them had come out of hibernation, was walking around a little bit in the cage. The other one is probably coming out of hibernation now and will be walking around too. Maybe we'll get to see them soon. I'm going over to our school once a week to make sure they have water and food and they're still there and doing well. I bet they miss us. Here's some other pictures of what hermit crabs look like. Some close-up pictures. Hermit crabs are little animals that live in shells that other animals don't need anymore. And when the hermit crab animal grows too big for their shell, they move out of that shell and find another shell that's a little bit bigger to move into. Here's another picture. And here's another picture. Now I have a fun pretend story about a hermit crab. A house for a hermit crab. Time to move, said Hermit Crab one day in January. I've grown too big for this little shell, but he had felt safe and snug in his shell, but now it was too snug. Hermit Crab stepped out of the shell and onto the floor of the ocean. But it was frightening, out in the open sea without a shell to hide in. What if a big fish comes along and attacks me? Oh no, I must find a new house soon. Early in February, Hermit Crab found just the house he was looking for. It was big and strong. He moved right in. It felt just right. But it looked so plain, he said. In March, Hermit Crab met some sea anemones. They swayed gently back and forth in the water. How beautiful you are, said Hermit Crab. Would you be willing to come and live on my home? It's so plain it needs you. I'll come, whispered a small sea anemone. So gently, Hermit Crab picked it up and put it on his shell. There is the sea anemone. He's going to put it on his shell for decoration. Oh, there it is. In April, Hermit Crab passed a flock of starfish, moving slowly along on the seafloor. How handsome you are, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to decorate my house? I would, said a little sea star. So carefully he picked up the sea star and put it on his house. It's right there. And the sea anemone is still there. In May, Hermit Crab discovered some coral. How pretty you are. Would one of you be willing to decorate my house for me? And one of them came along. And here it is. In June, Hermit Crab came to a group of snails crawling over a rock. Can you see all those little snails? You are so beautiful and tidy and hard-working. Would one of you be willing to help come and clean my house when it gets dirty? I would, offered one of the snails. And happily, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and placed it gently on the shell. So now he has a sea anemone, a sea star, coral, and a sea snail. In July, Hermit Crab came upon several sea urchins. They had sharp, prickly needles. How fierce you look, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to protect my house? I would, said a spiky sea urchin. So carefully he picked up the sea urchin and placed it on his house. It's right here. August, Hermit Crab and all of his friends wandered into a forest of seaweed. Can you see the forest of seaweed there? It's so dark here, thought Hermit Crab. How dim it is. I can't see. It's like nighttime. In September, Hermit Crab spotted a school of lanternfish with lights on them. How bright you are. Would one of you be willing to light up our house? And one said it would, and it swam over near the shell and went along with the Hermit Crab and all of his friends to light up the house. In October, Hermit Crab approached a pile of smooth pebbles. How sturdy you are. Would you mind if I rearranged you? Not at all, answered the pebbles. Hermit Crab picked them up one by one with his claw and built a wall around his shell. Now my house is perfect. So here he is. He's in his perfect house with his wall of stones and his lanternfish lighting it up and all his friends helping. In December, a smaller hermit crab passed by. I have outgrown my shell, she said. Would you know of a place for me? I've outgrown my house too, said Hermit Crab. It used to feel just right, but now it feels very snug. I must move on. You are welcome to live here, but you must promise to be good to all of my friends." "I promise," said the little crab. The following January, Hermit Crab stepped out and the little crab moved in. "Couldn't stay in that little shell forever," said Hermit Crab as he waved goodbye. The ocean floor looked wider than he had remembered, but Hermit Crab wasn't afraid. Soon he spied the perfect house, a big, empty shell. It looked a little plain, but sponges, he thought, barnacles, clownfish, sand dollars, electric eels. Oh, there are so many possibilities. I can't wait to get started. The end.